Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Teresa's Kitchen. Tonight, I'm just going to be making something quick. I'm just going to be making some homemade cream corn on top of the stove with Salisbury steak and white rice. I don't need to give you the directions on how to make some white rice, but I will show you how I started out making the cream corn. I've already have some bacon that's pretty much sauteed in the pan along with some onions. Have sauteed some bacon till it browned along with some red onions. Once it cooked down some more, I'm gonna add some corn to it. Corn on the cob that was grilled, and basically I'm just gonna add it to the pan. To my frying pan, I have about 4 slices of bacon sliced up. I browned it on top of the stove along with a medium-sized onion. To that pan, I will be adding about 3 or 4 ears of corn that was grilled on top of the grill piece for flavor. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir it in along with a regular sized can of cream corn. So I'm just basically stirring all of my ingredients together. Pretty much warming up the corn, letting it get a little color to it. Not that it didn't already have color from when it was grilled on top of the grill. And then to that, I'm going to be adding a can of cream corn, any style cream corn you would like. I'm going to add it to the pan. And then I'm just going to stir it in. I am going to use my favorite all-purpose seasoner, which is the Badea. My pan of corn that I'm making on top of the stove, I added about a tablespoon of butter, also for flavor. And I'm also going to be adding my all-purpose seasoner, like I said to you, at least 1 to 2 tablespoons full. And I love it because everything's there. You don't have to like go and get the salt or the pepper. Everything's all in one, and just stir it and let it just simmer, let it fry, because it's like a fried cream corn, and that's what you want. And it's going to get a little golden brown color, and that's because it's been cooking on top of the stove with the bacon. Some people like to put it in the oven and just let it cook, but this is my version of my cream corn. I'm just going to let it cook for a little bit. And with it, I'm going to have rice, and I'm going to be making some Salisbury steak, as I said earlier. And for those of you all who don't know what Salisbury steak is, it's nothing but hamburger. It's nothing but hamburger that's mixed all up, and you basically put a gravy on top of it with rice. So again, the recipe that I used to make this fried corn on top of the stove was 1 can of cream corn, about 3 ears of corn that was grilled on top of the stove, and it was shook, along with some fresh onion that was sauteed with about 4 strips of bacon, 1 tablespoon of butter, and about 2 tablespoons of all-purpose seasoner. So this is the final results of the fried cream corn that I made. If you like, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'll be back with some more yummy food. For the Salisbury steak, inside there, I put 1 pack of Lipton Onion Soup, very good, and about 2 eggs to 1 pound of ground beef. And I'm going to be adding just a little bit of Worcestershire. I said a little bit, it actually poured out. Just a couple of drops, so that was probably about 2 tablespoons of the Worcestershire. Add a little salt and pepper for taste, and we should be on our way with making our Salisbury steak. I made patties out of the ground beef that I had inside of the bowl. Again, the basic ingredients was a pack of Lipton soup. I've added my all-purpose seasoner. I used some Worcestershire sauce, and I also added a little salt for taste. So I have me a pan that's on top of the stove and is ready to go. The only thing I need to do, I'm not going to place any oil in the pan. I'm just going to simply take the burger, because that's all a Salisbury steak is. Just a little fancy name. And it's gonna cook, it's gonna make its own grease if you let it cook long enough. So that's why I got the pan up there piping hot. And I'm just gonna place them one at a time in the pan. Oh, I know I'm the techie person tonight. One burger at a time. And you cook to your liking. If you like them well done, you cook them well done. If you don't like them well done, then you cook them on medium high. So when I'm ready to turn, I'll be coming back, and I'm just gonna let you look closer at the pan. Can you hear the sizzle of the burgers? And again, I didn't place any oil in the pan because it's gonna create its own oil. So now the burgers are almost done. I pretty much flipped them over. Gotta be kind of careful when you're flipping them over because these are fresh hamburgers. It's not frozen, so they tend to break apart. So I'm gonna place them on top of a pan and I will be making gravy. Do you see all that oil that's there at the bottom of the pan? We're gonna use that. It's called drippings from the gravy. I'm sorry, from the hamburger. Well, I'm gonna at least put a half a tablespoon of flour in it, and I'm gonna add some water to it and let it begin to thicken. This is what you want your pan to look like. What you're gonna do is just like I said, all that stuff is good stuff. That's called the drippings of the meat. So I'm gonna basically get like a tablespoon of oil. To my pan, I added about a tablespoon and a half of flour to the oil that was at the bottom of the pan. And what I'm gonna simply do is stir it in. And basically we're making a gravy from scratch. So what I'm doing right here is just pretty much, it's gonna make like a little brownish roux. But that's all good stuff. So I'm just stirring it around. And just let it cook until it gets like that flour consistency out of it. We don't want it to taste like flour, so you just scrape the bottom of the pan, then all the little bits from the ground beef and the juices and flavoring is there. So that's what I'm pretty much doing, scraping the bottom of the pan to make sure all of the ingredients is good. You do the whole pan like that. That's like a treasure chest down there. So I have the temperature less than halfway. So I'm just gonna let it cook for a minute, let it brown up a little bit. Then I'm gonna add about a cup of water, a little bit at a time, to let it begin to thicken to your choice of how thick you want your gravy. Notice the change in the flour mixture, how I let it get brown. So what I'm gonna do is just simply add a little bit of water at a time. And it's gonna thicken up. And you just stir it. And it's gonna get thick. And you just keep adding water to it. And once you get it to the consistency that you like your gravy to be, it's not burnt. Those are just the little nuggets that was at the bottom of the pan, as I was telling you earlier. And as you can see, it's getting thicker. So you just keep adding water to your likings. Gravy simmer, and while you're letting your gravy simmer, what you can do is add the ground patties back to it so it can cook down. Place the hamburgers back into the pan so they can start cooking down, and that's why they're called Salisbury steak. I'm gonna add probably about 2 tablespoons of my all-purpose seasoner and just let them simmer for the next 15 minutes, and this is with the gravy. About a good 10 minutes, I allowed the gravy just to cook down with the burgers, and as you can see, there's a nice brown sauce. Remember, it's to your likings. You just let it simmer, and that's your homemade sauce that goes with it. And that's why we call it, what did I call it earlier? Oh my goodness. I'll remember at the end of the video. Call it Salisbury steak. Tonight's dinner consists of fried cream corn with bacon and onions in it, white rice, and homemade Salisbury steak with your homemade gravy. So if you like what you see, subscribe, hit the like button, and thank you once again for coming along and enjoying watching Teresa's Kitchen. Have a wonderful night.